Good afternoon and probably good evening for some of our viewers in our Facebook group. My name is Karen Seitz, and today I am here with Peggy Litt, one of the co-founders for A New Life Center. Hi, Peggy.
Hello.
Nice to be here again with you. It's been a moment since we've been able to do a video together, and I'm excited about what we're going to talk about today, even though it might be a little bit of a hard topic. But to begin with, I'm Karen Seitz, and I'm the lead teacher for the relationship course that we teach here at A New Life Center. And I've been working on myself using the concepts of this program in my own marriage and working with other women for about 4 years now. And I'm very passionate about what I get to teach and experience in my own life because it really works. I had tried many things to work on my marriage and to try to turn things around. And none of it worked because I was so focused on my husband and my marriage instead of being focused on myself and the relationship that I have with me, that comes first. And then that can flow into my marriage. And that's what I teach other women how to do as well. And Peggy, do you want to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Sure. I have been doing this work for about 15 years, and I've been working with both men and women for the last 10 years on building a relationship with themselves. And the topic we're going to talk about today is a little bit of a hard topic, I think, for both Karen and I, because we've always been happy pill people, and I really never realized all of the things I was stuffing and not allowing myself to feel. So I think it is important for us to bring up this topic on how we do give up on ourselves in our marriages. I think the first video maybe that I did with Karen, I said no one can make me feel as good as I can. And I think I also said something like, I used to think it was my job to put my husband first. And in that belief, I built resentment of him. So this is part of the reason why we're having the discussion today that we're having.
Thank you, Peggy. And just as a refresher or reminder for the members in our Facebook group, that as happy pill people, what that means, and Peggy, I think that was actually one of the first videos that we did together, if not the first, was on the happy pill. What that means is, as a happy pill person, we look to cover up all the hurt or difficult things that we may be experiencing, and we idolize or make everything seem happy and seem okay, when really on the inside we're not feeling good about ourselves, and we do have issues and challenges that are up, but we just kind of brush them aside with that attitude of, oh, this is just how it's supposed to be, or I'll get through this too. And then we never deal on what's really coming up inside of us. So Peggy, you had a client that you worked with, and that was one of the reasons that you really wanted to talk today about how we give up on ourselves in our marriage.
Yes. I have a client who is this beautiful, vivacious, creative, wonderful, reasonably new mother, and she's usually always upbeat, and she showed up for her appointment with me, and she just wasn't even in her body. And I went, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that's how I came off at times with my happy pill. You know, I just thought a smile and a few kind words and everything was okay. So I actually had her do a list of 5 ways I know I'm giving up on myself. And it was pretty interesting. Her first statement was, I am partnering and parenting as a should. And I know we've talked about shoulds in previous videos, but when you do stuff as a should, she was actually rejecting her child and her husband and looking for excuses to not spend time with them. And when she was with them, she was just pretending. So can you imagine doing that to a child that is used to connecting with you? I'm sure they feel like they've done something wrong, and so does your husband. Her second one, this girl is extremely intelligent, and she is a teacher for college classes, and she realized that she was actually plagiarizing in her class, and taking those shortcuts and not being all we can be. She will never know how creative and what a natural teacher she is if she is plagiarizing and taking other people's ideas and their words. The third thing that was on her list was, I live in my shortcuts in all areas of my life. And I really didn't understand shortcuts at the beginning of this journey, and I didn't realize in taking them that I would never know myself as the best I can be. And I'm really missing out on the best parts of myself if I'm taking shortcuts. And how can I feel good about myself if I'm doing that? Her fourth one was, this was very interesting for me. I've stopped taking care of myself in the most basic ways. Lotion on my face, brushing my teeth, shaving my legs every day. If we're not taking care of ourselves in the most basic ways, I am constantly telling myself I'm not important. And if I'm telling myself I'm not important, I will never develop self-love or self-acceptance. So I can't really offer that to my partner or my child either if I don't have it for myself. And then the fifth one that she wrote is, I reject creating my life. Now, that's a very, very deep statement. I think a lot of us do not realize that we really are creating our life. So we don't want to take any responsibility for our lives, and we make ourselves a victim to it. And as we've mentioned before, when we become victims, we lose all of our self-awareness. Who do you think is creating your life if it isn't you? Please take a moment and go back even just today and see what your choices were and how that contributed to the day you had. If we start the day out making a supportive choice for ourselves, our day tends to proceed better and better because we can build on that first choice.
Yeah, it's true. And Peggy, just curious so that our viewers can understand the purpose of being able to see some of those hard things that your client had to see about herself. What was the benefit in that, or how did she feel or experience herself after exposing that? Because you might think, well, that would just be awful.
Crushing.
Crushing to bring all of that up and have to see that about ourselves. But I know that wasn't the experience with your client, even though it can be vulnerable at first. But can you help our viewers understand that?
Well, if we can own those experiences as us, not how we feel, but who we are, then we can actually make a choice to let them go. I used to think, I just had kind of a bad day today. Tomorrow will be better, because I'd make darn sure I stuffed everything that night. And the next day was better, but I didn't deal with any of the internal things going on in myself. So my client was able to really, really own her experience as her, and then she can choose to let it go and be something else.
Yeah. So did she leave feeling better?
Yes, she did. And she pulled herself. I saw her later on in the day, and she had pulled herself out and was back to being the warm, wonderful self she usually is, And it's just part of being humans. It doesn't make us bad or wrong, but we tend to not want to look at the hard things.
Yeah.
So I think you did a list, Karen, of different ways that we do give up on ourselves, and maybe we can explain those a little better so the group will know to look to catch themselves in these things.
Yes, I have that with me. And I wanted to say in the beginning that last week, David and I did a video on how putting your husband first destroys a marriage, and that we need to be able to put ourselves first and be able to take care of ourselves and support ourselves. And that's actually the opposite of doing that. The opposite of putting ourselves first is giving up on ourselves, and never really getting to know who we are and really giving 100% in our marriage, 100% in our lives, and 100% for ourselves. When we do anything less than that, at some level, we're giving up on ourselves. And I made a list of some ways that I know I have given up on myself in my marriage, and that in working with other women and working with clients who have had similar experiences. So we're going to talk about each of these individually and break them down a little bit. And remembering that the purpose of doing this, as Peggy just mentioned, is so that we can see where we are at and then be able to move forward. We don't look at these things to beat ourselves up or because there's something wrong with us or bad. It's all normal human stuff. And when we can look at it, that gives us a place to actually move forward of. And being able to see these things and explore them is a way to not give up on yourself. Because when I'm not willing to see these things about me and look at how I'm showing up in my marriage or in other areas of my life, and I'm stuffing, that's saying I'm not worth it. That is giving up on me. So just wanted to emphasize that. So the first one on my list, Peggy, that I have is spending all my time with my husband and taking on his likes, dislikes, preferences, beliefs, and other things.
Well, it's interesting. I remember when I first got married, my first marriage, all of us girls were in our early 20s, my sisters and friends, and the guys would watch football. Well, we'd go do something that made us happy. And as the years went on, all of a sudden, we're all watching football with them.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the game kind of sucks. I mean, I don't mind a good football game, but I don't want to watch a game just because my husband is watching a game and it isn't even a good game. But that's just one of the ways that we take their likes on. I think I mentioned in one video how one of my clients actually even used the same toothpaste as her husband used. I'm sorry, I like pleasant tasting toothpaste. I don't want a guy's toothpaste, And if I am only experiencing myself through his likes and dislikes, I completely lose myself. And then I start resenting him and blaming him for my unhappiness.
Yeah, I know that I've mentioned probably in previous videos, but one of the ways that I gave up on myself when I first met my husband was in taking on one of his likes. So we're based in Denver, Colorado, and blessed to have the mountains as our backyard. And when I met my husband, he asked me if I liked hiking. And my kind of immediate go-to response was, I love hiking, when in actuality, I had really only been hiking once in Tennessee, where I'm from, which has no elevation. And one of the things my husband likes to do is to hike 14,000-foot mountains. And we have, I think, over 50 in the state of Colorado. And I want to hike 14ers, is what I said to him. And I hiked 14,000-foot mountains before I realized I really didn't like that. And that I needed to let him know that, because I didn't want to keep doing that. And that was one of the ways that I gave up on myself, was doing things that my husband loved to do, but I didn't really love to. And when I was able to see that and be honest with myself and let him know that, that was then actually regaining who I am and putting myself first. So I was no longer giving up on myself in that way.
Well, and we're female. If we take on a male's likes and dislikes, we become so much less female. And I really think our men like us as female. And I don't mean the kind of cranky ones. I mean the feminine ones that know our likes and dislikes.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Peggy. It's really the opposite of giving up on myself, is knowing what I like and what I don't like, and staying true to myself in that, in a marriage.
And staying female.
Yeah, exactly. So the next one that I have is not having a life, and this kind of blends in with the first one, not having a life of my own and doing the things I need to do to be happy within myself.
Yeah. Well, and we say over and over, we are responsible for our happiness. No one can make us happy. And if I don't know who I am and what makes me happy, I set my husband up to fail every time.
Yeah. I've seen it happen again and again, and I somehow expect him to know what it is that makes me happy. And that in itself is giving up on me, because I'm handing over knowing myself and knowing what I like and what I need. I'm putting that in the hands of someone else, instead of taking responsibility for me and knowing who I am, and then being able to share that in my marriage, instead of, like Peggy said, putting that burden on my husband.
And there's no way he can know what makes you happy, because you don't know what makes you happy. So you've never even discussed that with him, really, not to the depth it should be talked about.
It's true. So the next one that we have is avoiding tough conversations to resolve issues. In other words, when we sweep things under the rug and we're not willing to be vulnerable and talk about the things that we need to talk about, so we actually get to a place of resolution.
Well, and if we don't get resolution, then we hold on to the hurts and the concerns, and then we start building distance between us and our partners. You know, I'm third of 12 children, so I was the pleaser. I never rocked the boat, and I thought that was a healthy, good thing. Yet what would happen in my marriages is I would hold that hurt until they had 3 big strikes, and then I'd go, I'm done. And they really never even had a chance to try and make it work. I didn't really give them a chance to try and to discuss things and see if we could have resolution.
Oh, yeah. Tough conversations have been one of the biggest challenges for me to step into in my marriage and in other relationships, because, like Peggy said, I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to stir things up and risk the relationship, or risk any discomfort or disturbance of feeling happy or that happy pill, from the happy pill place. And when I do that, I'm again just shoving away what matters to me, or what I need to do for myself to be able to move forward in the relationship. So the next one that we have is doing things as shoulds for my husband and putting expectations on him.
Well, first of all, there is no me in a should because I am not making a choice, a conscious choice to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm on rote. And if I'm on rote, I don't learn and grow. I don't let myself get anything out of the experience. I don't put anything into the experience. And who I'm doing it for gets just as empty of it an experience as I do.
Yeah. There's no experience of me or any enjoyment of myself when I'm doing something as a should for my husband. So this actually came up last night where I got home from work and I needed to make some food for myself so that I had lunch to bring to work today and dinner to bring to work since I have a later client. And I got home and my husband was at work and he works in the restaurant industry. So he works nights, and I had told him that I was going to make the chicken that he bought and there would be food, but I realized I had done it as I said that as a should. So I was banging things around the kitchen and just really having a miserable experience of myself. And I was able, from doing this work and applying these concepts, I was able to catch myself and slow down and have a conversation with me of, Karen, this is something you need to do for you to take care of yourself. And you have choice here. You can either be miserable doing this or you can slow down and enjoy the experience of yourself. And if I was miserable doing it, I'd be giving up on myself, not giving myself a chance to really experience me and who I am and have fun, even just doing a simple everyday thing. But it felt so much better to be able to make that choice and then have a nice experience. And I'm sure my husband can feel that too. He could have felt that I had made the dinner and made food from a upset place instead of coming from my heart and being happy to do that for me and sharing that with him.
Well, I swear if I do anything with an open heart, especially cooking, it tastes better. You can taste the love in it. I mean, just like I grow tomatoes and peppers, and they are the best darn tomatoes and peppers because I love them every day and water them. So what we put into something is real and it does affect it. So you can either wash dishes and resent it, or you can just experience yourself slow down washing dishes and it can be very pleasant.
Yeah. It's true. It's so much more enjoyable. I can throw some music on and just settle into my experience instead of rushing through it, trying to get to the next thing. Or it's quite a gift. The next one I have on the list of how I give up on myself and my marriage is shutting out my husband and being cold and distant. Peggy, why is that giving up on ourselves when we're cold and have those walls out and shut our partners out?
Well, I used to think I was just taking a break. Nothing personal to him, not, but what I really realized is that I was shutting me out. When I shut me out, I also shut them out and they feel rejected. So, and they get hurt. So they close down and then they start shutting us out. And I know from, what a lot of women posted that they're now in the second phase of this. They've already shut their husband out and he's afraid to reach out to them now. We can only hurt somebody so often and they quit reaching out. And the more we shut them out, the less of a man they feel like they are. And how can a male, how can he reach out when he doesn't even feel like a man? you know, they're supposed to be our protectors and all of this, and yet we just kind of squished them. And yeah, that's a hard one. I did not realize how much I hurt my partner by shutting them out. I thought, I'm not a screamer, I'm not saying bad things, so I can't be hurting them. But sometimes silence hurts them even more. They feel the rejection. Men do feel, and they feel absolutely everything that's going on in us.
Yeah, I'm much more, in my experience with my marriage, when I have my walls up and I'm being cold and distant, the the one that hurts my husband the most, and he shared this with me, is when he does feel and he does know something is off and that I'm pushing him out, and he'll ask me, what's wrong? Nothing, I'm fine. And he feels and knows that it's not. And that's again me sweeping myself under the rug, pushing him away. And then I never give myself the chance to really experience me as soft and with my walls down, and then being able to really experience who my husband is as a man and him feeling good about himself. I push all of that away and push all of me away when I'm cold and distant.
Well, and like I said, I thought me not not being a screamer made me a good wife. I didn't realize how hurtful it really was, and that nothing ever gets solved if you don't talk.
Yeah, it doesn't. Even though I like to think if we just don't talk, it'll go away. But in reality, it doesn't. It just builds and festers. And like Peggy said earlier, then we just harbor all of this resentment that even though we think maybe we aren't realizing how much of it's there, but we also naively think that our husbands can't tell when they absolutely can and can feel it.
Yeah.
So the next one that I have on the list of ways we give up on ourselves in a marriage is having a closed heart and not feeling.
If I'm not feeling, that means I'm not fun. That means I have no joy, no laughter, no sharing, no love. It's not even living. When we have our hearts closed, we are like robots. If you go out to a mall or something, you'll see most people, that is how they are experiencing themselves. And since doing this work and knowing myself as totally alive, as knowing myself as having empathy, as knowing myself as caring and nurturing, I don't want to give that up. I don't want to go back to rote.
And when I refuse to feel, I give all of that up. I don't feel alive. And I thought that I could just stuff the bad stuff or stuff the negative feelings that I didn't want to experience. And now I know I can't stuff the negative stuff or what I think is the bad stuff without stuffing all the good too. So I just completely shut myself out.
Well, and when we're not feeling, sex isn't fun. Not feeling also means not feeling in our bodies. And, you know, we'll have another video on sex, but there are parts of my body that are coming alive that I have never, ever experienced before. And for those parts to start coming alive is when I really start feeling like a woman. And I might be older than a lot of you guys, but it's never, ever too late. And I can't wait till we can start helping you guys experience yourself as soft and feminine, but then actually know your body as that. And it's an aliveness that I've never had in my life. And I hope you can all do the work to give it to yourself too.
Thank you, Peggy. So our next one ties right into everything we're talking about. I love when that happens. Is pretending everything is wonderful and having a happy pill.
Yeah.
So Peggy, can you also, again, just in case we have new viewers, explaining the happy pill and what that is for you?
Well, for me, the happy pill, I have no depth. It's an empty experience. I am happy. I'm smiling on the outside, but nothing is alive on the inside. And I used to say to myself, well, maybe if I could really cry, I could really laugh. I realized I was missing something, but I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't realize I was missing something because I was just pretending everything.
Yep.
And
pretending I can't experience it for real.
Yeah.
Or experience me for real.
Well, there's just no depth because I played safe all the time. You know, I didn't want to be vulnerable. I didn't want to expose myself. I'll just be the happy, good girl. You know, guys I used to date would say, it's so nice to be with you. You never have to go ruffle feathers and cause drama. And I thought that was a good thing. And that doesn't mean ruffling feathers and causing drama is a good thing, but there is a productive way of expressing yourself. And I just didn't even do that.
Yeah. And so when I can't express myself because I'm really just covering myself up and pretending, then I'm not giving me a chance. I'm not even considering myself in the process. And when I have a happy pill in my marriage and I pretend that everything is wonderful in my marriage and I can feel that it's not, we know when we're not dealing with the issues that we need to deal with and sweeping things under the rug. And every time I do that, I'm telling myself on a deep level, I'm not worth it. I'm not worth it to bring this up and try to work on this. So I'm just going to pretend everything is fine and wonderful. All right. So our next one is being a victim and blaming my husband for how I feel and what my life is.
Well, I know when I am a victim, I get mean.
Yeah.
No one likes feeling like a victim to anything. We get mean. And if I feel mean, I'm going to project that out onto my partner and I'm going to want them to be as miserable as I am.
Yeah. And as a victim, we completely trap ourselves that when I'm blaming my husband or blaming something else in my marriage for why things are the way that they are or why I am unhappy, then I cannot change it because I'm waiting for my husband or that other person or other thing outside of me to change it. All the while I'm stuck in my pain. I'm stuck in my hurt. And one of the things that I hear a lot from my clients when I'm teaching about victim and why it's empowering to look at that and take responsibility for ourselves and what we're feeling is, well, isn't that just going to let the other person off the hook? Isn't that just going to let my husband off the hook? And the answer is no, you get to let yourself off the hook because the person who's really hurting from holding on to all of that pain, and I don't mean to rhyme here, but it is going to, and all of that blame, when we're holding on to that, we're preventing ourselves from really living and experiencing who we are. So when I'm able to let go of that blame and take responsibility for myself, I get to feel better. And in my marriage, if I'm with a good man, then that allows me to start to take my walls down and let him back in. And then I experience him completely differently. So when I'm stuck in victim, it's like I'm just a sitting duck and just stuck in my misery, which then I don't even get to really experience me or my life at all.
Yeah. I think we have one more to go, Karen.
We do. I know this one well. We have a video on this about back doors. So the last one on how we give up on ourselves in a marriage is always having an exit plan or 1 foot in and 1 foot out.
And I know for me, and I know for everybody I work with, we all live that way in our relationships. What I didn't realize is that I was never fully committing to me. I thought I wasn't fully committing to them. And I would blow things off. I'd look for excuses for the relationship not to work.
Mm.
And I would miss all the good things about my partner and about our relationship. And that's really sad. I mean, if we have a back door, ladies, we are not seeing all the good and we're not being all our good.
No.
So that's that. Out of all of these, that's one of the most important ones because you can't fix the rest of them unless you are committed to yourself.
Yeah. And we often will say that when we're committed in a relationship, we look for reasons to stay and we look for the good things and why we want to be there and keep building on that and then working through the challenges. When we're not committed, when we have a foot in and a foot out, we look for reasons to leave. And then, like Peggy said, we miss out on all the good and we're not even showing up in our relationship with ourselves or in our marriage. When I have back doors open and I'm looking for all the negative things and why it's not working, again, I'm being a victim and trapping myself instead of seeing how I can continue to grow and learn and step in and give myself the best possible experience I can have of me and of my husband and of our marriage as a whole.
Well, this one was kind of hard for Karen and I since we are happy pill people. I try not to be happy pill, but be it for real, But the most important part of all this, ladies, is make yourself a priority.
Yeah.
Then you can make your husband feel special also.
Yeah. And you'll feel special. And it's so much more rewarding when I can do the work for myself to feel special in me, because I can do that immediately. I don't have to wait for anyone to do that for myself. I can do that for me all the time. And then I get to share that and have an intimate and loving relationship. So I think that's a wonderful summary, Peggy, that we have to see how we are giving up on ourselves in our marriage. And even if it's just a little piece of us, we have to be able to see that in order to move forward and have a different experience so that then we can make ourselves a priority and begin to change and shift things.
Well, and you can have a decent relationship and still have most of this stuff going on, but it's going to catch up with you, and it is minimizing the experience you're having. Please know that. I'm happy everywhere except when I'm at home. Well, no, it means you really aren't being the best you can be anywhere in your life. And if you think you're happy outside of your home, think of how much happier you could be when you're actually happy in your home and can take that you out into life. Otherwise, you're taking that unhappy you into your work environment and everything else and trying to fake it.
Yeah. It colors everything. And when we're trying to fake it, it's exhausting. So if you're listening today or you've been listening for a little bit and you're curious, how do I begin to turn this around? What are the steps that I need to take? That's why we're here. We have an incredibly transformational program that's a relationship course that teaches you how to do this for yourself and teaches you how to build a relationship with you so that you can take down your walls and bring all of you into your marriage and have the marriage that you always wanted or that you always dreamed of just by working on yourself. So if that is something you're interested in finding out more about, or you want to talk to see if it could be a good fit, then private message me or private message Peggy, and we'll set up a free 1-hour breakthrough call where you'll get really clear on the issues you're coming up against in your marriage and get a step-by-step plan on how to change it and how to take action to turn it around.
Doing this work frees you. I am having more fun in my life now than I ever have. Things I would have never considered doing just come out of my mouth, and I go, sure, I'll do that. You only have one life. Let's have fun. Let's have love. Let's love others. It's too short to be miserable.
It is. It is too short to be miserable. Thank you so much, Peggy. Is there anything else that you want to say in closing?
No, just please put yourself first and be kind to everyone in the process. It is a process. At first, when you put yourself first and you're feeling good about yourself, you might be tempted to share what you did to feel good about yourself. In time, you won't even need to do that. You'll just be happier and not need to tell people all the good things you're doing. It's a process, and you will stumble, and it's okay. We are here to support you, but don't give up on yourself.
Thank you so much, Peggy. It's so nice to be able to do a video with you today and have you here. So thank you for the opportunity. It's always a pleasure and always so much fun.
You're welcome. And we're all worth it.
Yes, we are. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you all soon.
Thank you.